Hello, everyone, and welcome for another round of looking at some theology and theologies behind K-Pop Demon Hunters, specifically looking at the very first track, how it's done. And so, for those who don't know me, I'm Reverend Yost. I am a pastor in the United Methodist Church outside of Baltimore. This is me from my messy basement, slowly expanding into messing with live streaming. I'll probably be back on later today to just get some stuff done and hang out and co-work or whatever. But for now, I wanted to focus on this entire film because it is so good. It is rich with so many great stories and so much cultural symbolism, and I just am so excited that this is the type of media that we are passing down for the next generation. It just leaps and bounds better than what I grew up with when it comes to stories that we're handing to our younger folks, and it's also just quite good. So I don't feel like I need my name hanging out here. I'm flying solo this week. Last week I had Tom Rim with me. He's a good buddy of mine from seminary, and we kind of talked a little bit about everything as we were going along. Some big ideas throughout the entire film. And what we've got coming up is next week, I'll be talking about soda pop with my friend Angela Popino. She is a seminary student and a candidate for ordained ministry in the United Methodist Church. So we're super United Methodists for the first 3 weeks. And then the following week, I should be able to coordinate a conversation with my friend Chris Schaefer. He's a pastor in the Lutheran tradition, and we'll be talking about Golden, which is everyone's favorite song. Was at a wedding this past weekend, and I was super sad because later I was watching the little recaps from their Insta stories and got to see all of them dancing and having so much fun to Golden, and I wasn't there for that. I also missed Pink Pony Club. I feel like I might have left a little too early, but I'm also just a lot older than I used to be. The big thing that I see in this story that I think is really cool is how Rumi's evolution follows that of prophets throughout the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, or even just how we consider prophets. And so I have conveniently been reading Richard Rohr's, I think it's, what did we find it on here? The Tears of Things, Prophetic Wisdom for an Age of Outrage. And it's good. And in it, he talks about how all of the prophets begin with a legitimate but righteously dualistic anger at sins and injustice in the world. And so we see that in this righteous and legitimate anger that Huntrix has towards demons. We see that demons are sucking souls out of people, and that we need to seal the Han Moon in order to protect humanity from demons. And so there's this dualistic category of humans versus demons, and this absolutely righteous anger and a legitimate anger towards how this is happening. And what we see kind of eventually is that with shame being the primary mechanism through which people are taken by demons, their souls are snatched by demons, or we see Jinyu, essentially, that's how he's manipulated by Guima. With shame being the primary mechanism for that, that's really a collective evil. A world where we're allowing shame to have so much power and control over people. And so the Han Moon offers a collective solution, and through the film we find that there's not an obvious path, because, and really there's spoilers, because if you haven't watched it, just watch it. I'm a nobody. There's no reason to be listening to what I have to say if you haven't already watched the film. And so, but with Rumi being part demon, part human, because of the fact that her mother falls in love with a demon. First of all, that wonders like who was the demon, because that's an interesting part of the story that we never get. There's a lot of the story that would be very interesting to know more about that we don't necessarily get, but that is why the film was only an hour and a half or however long. And then leaves a lot of room for more stories to be told, which I think is really good. This is a fresh set of storytelling, at least for a lot of Americans. It's a new way of engaging stories. And so I grabbed some screenshots. Let me see if I can go back to the beginning before I try to share it. Aha. What I find kind of funny is that so much of how it's done is really talking about like how the way that things are done is just embedded in oh, there we go. You don't need that. It's embedded in their way of being. To the point where fighting becomes natural. They're interrupted mid-snack and are extra angry because of that, and honestly can't blame them. And then we have this is right after she tells the demon to pause because she's filling up the kettle to have hot water for their ramen, because that is the more important thing in this moment. They can handle the fighting demons and the making of the ramen at the same time, because both of those are second nature to them. It's just a natural way of moving through the world for them. So they pass this tea kettle, and that's essentially, for a while, this is the ramen creation is what is connecting the telling of this story visually. So they throw the tea kettle over there, and then she like smashes the one demon's face in with it, and now Zoe's got it and filling up each of their individual instant ramen cups. And I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm distinctly a white American, and for me to pretend that I'm not would be silly. But even down to like they're ready to eat it, and she's like, nope, you have to wait because that's the important thing. So they leave it behind as they go back to fighting. And like, honestly, Rumi's taking the two just as seriously and having a lot of fun with it. Now, this, I believe, this is where that collective solution kind of starts to become. So their weapons are coming from the Han Moon. And so they have this distinct connection to the connection of all people, since the Han Moon is built by connecting people through music and song. They're able to take that connection and across humans and weaponize it against demons, which is interesting in itself. And I think it's really cool that that's where their weapons are coming from, and that really they're deeply connected to the thing that connects all people, which makes them sound quite mystic. So then, even as their plane is falling apart, the thing that matters most is them and their ramen. And so they have to eat that really quick before they go down and just continue. Now they're doing a whole concert and fighting demons. But on the way down, they're doing their makeup to get ready for the concert, because all of this is so natural. And the way that at this point, Mira's line is that it's a fit check for her napalm era. And napalm was a vile weapon for us to be using. And so their anger is amped to this level of extermination. Just like completely getting rid of all demons is the only solution that they can see within their current state of anger. And so it's just doing makeup as they're going down, which is super cute. And then the fact that they're able to even just like fully perform, and Zoe then takes out this demon with a precise shot with her throwing knives is pretty impressive. Now, this just shows how like embedded this way of being is for them, and how we're talking about them becoming more than just unfinished prophets. There needs to be something that can be done with this anger to process it and move forward. And we see that with as soon as we find out that Rumi also has patterns and is part demon. That single story twist makes it so that the dualistic system no longer works. And it just kind of begins to put its foot in the door. We see that Celine is trying to convince Rumi that once the Han moon is sealed golden, then the demon part of her will just disappear. Because that goal of total annihilation and elimination is the only thing that matters to them. But even the lyrics to the song show how it's like totally built into the way they're being, like their way of being. And so looking at like English translations of even the Korean parts, bleeding isn't in my blood, I'm different, starting from my bones, beating you is what I do. And so we'll see as I unpack the rest of the songs and the rest of the movie with other people that this really gets to be not the way that they continue to do things, that they find a new way of moving through the world, that this current collective solution of a golden Han moon is not the solution that actually helps, that everyone. The other thing that really resonates with me is thinking about how this is distinctly tied to othering and the way that we do that with people. We can see like similar stuff Tom was sharing with being Korean American and how he was raised to kind of minimize his Koreanness in order to fit in, and that in different crowds didn't quite know how to handle him or how he could fit in with white crowds or black crowds as he was going through school. And so that whole like needing distinct binary categories is foundational to dualistic anger, in the same sense that this dualistic anger is what's helping keep the United States divided right now. The inability to understand or sit with our enemies and listen to them and create places of belonging where people can unpack their garbage that might be harmful. It's absolutely detrimental. And so I've been currently working through the book Disarming Leviathan, Loving Your Christian Nationalist Neighbor by Caleb Campbell. Been working on that, working through that book very slowly this year with a group from my church. And it's absolutely great if you have Christian nationalists loved ones. And so I think of like how our collective anger towards Christian nationalism is absolutely legitimate. That it is absolutely right to say that they have caused so much harm in our world, that are doing so many painful things, that the way that the system is being torn down and by people that claim that they're Christian is just not good. It's not helpful. It's not Christ-like. And so in the same sense, I hope that we'll see more of this. Like we get in the film after this song, and slowly as Ruby is unpacking her demon side, that this dualistic anger isn't helpful for helping all people. Later, there's a great line from Genu that talks about like if hate could have gotten rid of Guima, then he would have gotten rid of him a long time ago. And so really like thinking about how do we disarm the things that divide us. So, yeah, looking forward to next week's chat. And actually, there's a little bubble here. Oh, and yeah, so looking forward to talking to Angela, and we'll be talking about soda pop. And so it'll be a good time. And Angela's really great, period, as a human. And I'm super excited to hear what she has to say, specifically because she took as an elective in seminary a course on demonology and the problem of evil. And so I think she'll bring a very unique perspective as a United Methodist who took a demonology course at a Catholic seminary. Um, that I'm just going to have a whole lot of questions. I'll be doing a lot less of the talking next week, and maybe even the week after. So we'll see how long these are each time, and yeah. Until next time, you can message me here, or if you go to the link tree's got all the ways of connecting with me. Send me questions about any songs or whatever, and I look forward to hearing from people. So thanks, y'all.